Okay, I'm here finally. Sorry, I got a little late start. I was just about to pop on, and my parents had or gave me a call, and so anyway, but I'm here now, and that's all that counts. I did some work on Olaf, and I don't know if I like him any better, but here's where he's at right now. I tried giving him more of an overhang. I don't think that looks right. I gave him a little curve to the mouth, which is the wrong curve, but it at least helped me kind of visualize some of this. Um, uh, I made some eyes for him, but I'm not sure where they are. Oh, there they are. You can kind of see the way these eyes are going to pop on there. Well, like I said, that's the reason they're off. But I don't think I've hit the right size yet. Because like I said, I wanted to be about 3.5 feet tall. Let's see, where's this? So this is let's see if I can get it in shot. This, of course, is a yardstick. And that's just, you can just almost see that's about 2.5 feet tall when it's up here. So at 2.5 feet tall, or 3 feet tall, that's where he'd be. I think the way that I'm building him, that's probably about where he's going to be. So I've got to scale this up once I find the shape. I've got to scale this up probably about another 125%. But I did some research based on some information that I was given by Gabe Baker and Charles Yeager. See if I can find it. Let's see. Nothing better than me looking for stuff online. Okay, Olaf turnaround. I found something that somebody made as a 3D print. Here we go. So, I don't know if you can see this, but zoom in on it. I'm not sure why that's. Oh, that's why. Okay. Sorry. Okay. What's that reflection coming from? Oh, okay. See, if I had a computer that was powerful enough that I didn't have to resort to this sort of stuff. Okay, so there's a decent turnaround of what Olaf looks like, but check this out. This is a 3D model that somebody made as a 3D print. And I think I'm going to use this to figure out the shapes. I think I'm going to, it may not be 100% on model, but it looks right to me. And while I'm not right, it's Not as far off as I thought it was. So I'm going to use this to inform how I'm going to build this. And let me just look at it. I'm not that far off, really. Mainly it's in the lower part that is wrong, in the back of the head. Okay, so let's let me get working on this thing. I think I'm gonna get rid of this mouth too. Not that anybody's watching this. I knew it was a mistake to actually use the plastic on this right now because I'm not nearly ready for it. But I wanted to see how that curve affected the shape. And so I thought it was worth at least trying it. I'm also working on a new way of just gonna rip all this. I'm working on a new idea on how to make better fitting mouth plates. I've been watching this course on how to pattern, as well as other draping techniques on building clothes, and I think some of the techniques might work pretty well to figure out how to do mouth plates a little bit better. So I'm gonna try that on Olaf and see how it works. It's gonna be a little different than the way I usually pattern, so something to look forward to. All right, so that nose is not right, but I think that is pretty close. Okay. So I'm going to start by trying to, well, first off, I'm going to make a fake mouth plate. Let's see if I have any cardboard. Yeah, I think that's something we need to do here. Okay. Okay. I guess that needs to come down a little bit. Definitely need to change that curve here. See, part of the thing that is tough about this is still a fan-made computer file that somebody made for 3D printing him. So it's whatever artistic choices that fan person did, plus whatever artistic choices I make to it, gets them farther and farther off model. So I would have much rather have had a turnaround from the actual production to start from, because it takes away one level of the interpretation that might happen. But I mean, what are you going to do? Okay, I'm going to make a temporary pattern because I kind of know at least partially what it's going to look like. So this is basically a cone, the lower half of his body and lower half of his head. I also know that from here to here, it's about the same as it is from here to there. So this is, on my model here, 6 inches. So we'll say 6 inches. Maybe I'll do 6.5, just so I have a little bit of wiggle room. I'll do 6.5. Okay. I know it's going to be basically a cone that goes down to about like that. So let's say I want the bottom. I'm just going to say I want the bottom, each section of it, to be about 3 inches, and I'll have the top be 5 inches. And we'll just start there and see what it looks like. I also know it's not a true cone. It's going to be something like that. All right, so we'll see. This is where I start. This might be too big. In fact, I think it is too big. All right, so we're going to trim it down. So this will be roughly roughly 4 of them. Let's see what we got. I basically just try to identify the basic shapes and make them until I get the proportions more or less correct, and then start filling in the gaps that I can't pick the basic shapes out of, if that makes sense. It's kind of like building what you know so that you can figure out what you don't know, I guess is kind of the way to put it. Right, like I always say, if I was to build Scooter, I would start with his mouth plate because I know the shape of that mouth plate. And then I would build up his nose, and then probably the top of his head, and then just keep working my way out to figure out each shape until I had the shape that I wanted. I mean, that would be the way I would tackle it. So I'm going to start with 4 of these and work my way there. I probably will have to add a couple of little wedges to get it to fit, or maybe take a couple of wedges out to make it fit. But that's just like a garbage pattern. It's just to get me on to the next step. And I already cut it out well. See, a lot of people stop with it. They make the garbage pattern, what I call the garbage pattern, and then that's where they stop. They just like, okay, I found the shape. Time to move on to covering that puppet. And like, I want to have when I'm done with this, I want to have a pattern because I know that I'm gonna have to make 2 of them, and maybe more later on. So it'd be good to at least have a place to start when I make those other ones. I think I'm probably going to have to carve the nose, but I would rather figure out how to flat pattern that as well. I think after I figure out this head, the shape of this head and the basic pattern, I think I'm going to do a scale drawing of how big I think this needs to be. Maybe make it out of cardboard. Because I'd hate to get it all patterned and built only to find out it was a little too big or a little too small. But because I started with the head, kind of because I was waiting on some items, I think it's best that I just continue with that. Probably if I figure out Olaf's head, I'll probably move on to Sven's head real quick and try and get that one figured out. And at least get the 2 of those in the pipeline. Because there's going to be a lot of futzing with the mechanics in these 2 puppets. Probably most of which I'm not going to be able to do on live stream because it's going to be too big. Although I suppose I could set up a camera going the other way that I could get a full body shot of me trying this stuff out and trying to figure it out, because that might be helpful to somebody. I just want to make sure that whatever I build has good movement. I mean, I've seen a few online that people have made, and while they may look great, they don't move really well. So to me, I'd rather sacrifice a little bit of the look to get a little bit more movement. Okay, and this will round out a lot more when I make it out of fleece, or not fleece, out of L200. Or this lower jaw might be Scott. Looks too big. Oh well. It should probably open his mouth. But I guess I'll figure that out once I get this started. Well, now I've done it. Okay, it still needs to figure out the. They still need to figure out the situation with the cheeks. Kind of. Let's see what happened to his teeth. He had his teeth there someplace. Ouch. Kind of mark your bingo card. I just poked myself with a pin. Okay. Now, this is not the way I'm going to do these sprigs at the top. I haven't really decided how I'm going to do them, but I can tell you right now it's not going to be this way. I just kind of want to see what they look like. There's so many pins in this thing. Okay, so definitely need to figure out that part. So it needs to be wide, come more tapered down like this on the sides. So what I know that means is I need more material to push this out. This is pretty close to being right. So it's going to be a diamond shape that it's going to be a slit. I'm going to add a diamond shape, I think, or something similar to a diamond shape. Might be more like a star. And now if I kind of push this aside like this so that it fits it, actually it's going to be more like a boomerang. That's what I'm going to need to get. So I'm going to put a boomerang in that. I'm going to put a boomerang in it. Okay. That actually helped that quite a bit. Now I just got to figure out how to do it on the other side. So I'm going to make a second one of these, and I'm going to glue them both in. And then once I figure that out, I'll address those cheeks. I might be getting to the point on this thing where I need to true it up and see where the problems are, although I still see a lot of problems already. So I'm going to resist the temptation to move on to the second version of this. Actually, this is the third version. This will be the third version. I basically built the entire jaw. This is still the top head that I started on the live stream yesterday, on Monday. But and the jaw was too. Jaw was the original one as well. But I had reworked this whole second section. So really the head is kind of a hybrid. Okay, so I added those two triangles, and you see how much that changed the shape of his head. At least made it closer. If I put some knobs, some little, I think what I'm going to need to do is make some tiny little half spheres. To make cheeks for him. Instead of just making a big Pac-Man, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sphere and then make a Pac-Man out of that. So let's see. How do I do that? So that should be about 3 of them per side, I think. Maybe 4. Let's see. Let's see what has to happen here. Okay. I'm just going to make one of these and see how it looks. And then see if it's worth the time. It may work just as well. I'll make 4. It may work just as well to be a plant on, too. It may be that the skull is like this, and then I make a little separate cheek shape that gets added on after the fact. Not every part of the head, like the nose and the eyebrows and all that, does not have to be patterned into the actual skull. You can always add things or subtract things after you've made the skull, rather than trying to make a perfect shape that doesn't quite work. And maybe I just need to get a big block of soft foam and plant it onto the side of the head before I drape it. That is then carved to make the cheeks. I'm gonna try it this way first.
And I think this is going to be too much material, but it's going to have a little too much and a little too much, too little. I know I was an hour late,
But I'm kind of surprised that nobody's popped on. Oh, wonder if this is why. Okay, I don't know if that's a better feed or not, but let's see. I forgot to turn off my Wi-Fi before I came on. That's a big cheek. All right. Actually, that looks pretty close to what I want. Yeah, that's the best I've done of this. All right, so I'm going to glue that on. Make another one.
Like a turnip or an onion.
Okay. I guess gotta make another one of those. And then after that, I should be able to chew this up, but I'll probably do that on Friday. I'm not going to be on again tomorrow. But well, maybe I'll come on during the day. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, I'll probably get this chewed up after I've been able to futz with it a little bit longer.
Okay.
All right, so this is as far as I got today. It's not. This isn't quite right down here, but this is also not the shape it's going to be. In fact, maybe I'll put. Let me just put one more piece of foam on here, and then I'll call it a day. Probably that one. All right. Oh, somebody's here. Hey, Lori. Hey, how's it going? So I'm building Olaf for a production of Frozen, the musical. It's starting to come together. See if I can get his eyes to stick for a few seconds. Who am I building it for? Somebody in Minnesota. I thought you had maybe figured that out. You had set that up for me. Rochester, something like that. So anyway, he's starting to look like something now. Let me see what it is. It's Rochester Civic Theater. Really, I actually thought it was a local place, so I was going to give them a really good deal so I could make it as a rental, and then I figured out that they were actually over in Minnesota. So anyway, I think it's starting to look like him. Everybody else has quite a few other opinions, but anyway, I think the biggest thing is just figuring out which version of Olaf I'm making. There seems to be several different ones. I think he's still a little bit too small. I think he needs to be maybe about 125% larger. Oh, really? What was the puppet that you built for her? Anyway, I think I'm done for today, but I'm also building Sven, and then they got to figure out how to ship it out to him. Also a bit like that. I'm Mr. Ice. You mean like Snow Miser? Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna get off here anyway. So I'll I don't know if you want to do video or if you want to do what, but feel free to give me a call. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.